What happens when a rancher gives water to wounded native? Next day, entire tribes arrive on horseback. Witness this unbelievable true-inspired story right here on Whisper of the Past. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share where you're watching from. Let's get started. The scorching sun blazed over the vast plains of Montana in the summer of 1870. Samuel Harrison, a weathered rancher in his mid-40s, rode slowly across his land, checking fence lines and water sources for his cattle. The drought had been merciless that year, turning the grasslands into a brittle carpet of brown and gold. Samuel had seen hard times before, but this season tested even his resolve as he approached a shallow creek bed. Now barely a trickle, something caught his eye. A figure lay crumpled near the dried rocks, unmoving. Samuel's heart quickened as he dismounted and rushed forward. It was a young Native American man, probably in his early 20s, his body covered in dust and blood. A deep wound ran across his shoulder, and his lips were cracked and bleeding from severe dehydration. Samuel knelt beside the stranger, checking for signs of life. A faint pulse beat beneath his fingertips. Without hesitation, he reached for his canteen and carefully lifted the young man's head, letting cool water trickle into his parched mouth. The stranger's eyes fluttered open momentarily, dark and filled with pain, before closing again. Most ranchers in that territory would have ridden away. The tensions between settlers and native tribes had been running high for years. Conflicts were common, trust was rare, and helping the enemy could bring trouble to your doorstep. But Samuel Harrison had never been most ranchers. His father had taught him that a man's character was measured not by who he helped when it was easy, but who he helped when it was hard. Samuel carefully lifted the wounded man onto his horse and began the slow journey back to his ranch house. His wife, Martha, met him at the door, her eyes widening at the sight of the injured stranger. She didn't ask questions. Instead, she immediately prepared their spare room and began gathering medical supplies together. They cleaned the wound, which appeared to have been caused by a gunshot. Samuel suspected the young man had been caught in a skirmish, possibly with buffalo hunters or rival groups. They dressed the injury with clean cloth, gave him water mixed with a little sugar and salt, and kept him comfortable through the night. For 3 days, the stranger drifted in and out of consciousness. Martha prepared broths and tended to his fever while Samuel continued his ranch work, always keeping one eye on their unexpected guest. The young man's condition slowly improved. By the 4th day, he was able to sit up and speak, though neither Samuel nor Martha could understand his language. Through gestures and simple drawings in the dirt, they learned his name was Running Deer, and he was deeply grateful for their kindness. Samuel could see intelligence and strength in the young man's eyes, along with surprise that a white rancher would show him such compassion. On the 7th day, Running Deer's strength had returned enough for him to travel. Samuel provided him with food, a blanket, and a fresh canteen of water. The young man clasped Samuel's forearm in a gesture of profound respect and gratitude before disappearing into the hills on foot, moving with the grace of someone born to that land. Martha watched him go with concern. "Do you think we'll face trouble for this?" she asked her husband quietly. Samuel shook his head slowly. "I don't know, but I know we did the right thing. That's what matters." They returned to their daily routines, the incident becoming a quiet memory. Samuel tended his cattle, repaired fences, and worried about the drought like every other rancher in the territory. He thought occasionally of Running Deer, hoping the young man had made it safely back to his people. Then 8 days after Running Deer had left, Samuel woke before dawn to an unusual sound. It was rhythmic and growing louder, like distant thunder, but the sky was clear. He walked to his window and felt his blood turn cold. Horses, dozens of them, maybe more than 100, and riders, native warriors, cresting the hill that overlooked his property. They moved as one. A magnificent and terrifying sight in the early morning light. Martha appeared at his side, her hand gripping his arm. "Samuel, what do we do?" For a moment, fear gripped him. Stories of raids and attacks flashed through his mind, but something kept him from reaching for his rifle. Instead, he walked outside, standing on his porch with his hands visible and empty. The riders approached, and Samuel's heart pounded in his chest. Leading them was an elder man with silver streaking his long hair, his face weathered by decades of sun and wind. Beside him rode Running Deer, looking healthy and strong, his shoulder bandaged but healing. The massive group came to a halt in Samuel's yard, and for a long moment, silence hung in the air like morning mist. Then Running Deer spoke in halting English, words he must have practiced. "You saved my life. You gave water when you could have given death. You are a friend to the Lakota people." The elder chief dismounted, followed by several others. They approached Samuel with dignity and purpose. What happened next would become a story told for generations. The warriors had brought gifts, finely tanned hides, beaded items crafted with incredible skill, dried meat, and medicinal herbs. But more than that, they had brought respect. The chief, through Running Deer's translation, explained that Samuel's act of kindness had been reported throughout the tribe. In a time of great division and bloodshed, one man had chosen humanity over fear. The chief made a declaration that Running Deer carefully translated. Samuel Harrison and his family would be under the protection of the tribe. His land would not be disturbed. His cattle would be safe. Any member of the tribe who passed through would know of the rancher. who gave water to a wounded enemy and asked for nothing in return. Tears stung Samuel's eyes as he understood the magnitude of what was happening in an era defined by conflict and mistrust. A simple act of compassion had built a bridge between two worlds. The tribes didn't stay long that morning, but before they left, the chief and Samuel shared water from the same canteen, a symbolic gesture witnessed by everyone present. As the riders departed, Martha emerged fully from the house, and she and Samuel stood together, watching the magnificent procession ride back across the plains. True to their word, the tribe honored their promise. Samuel's ranch prospered even as others in the territory faced difficulties. Occasionally he would find gifts left near his property, offerings of gratitude and symbols of an unlikely friendship. Running Deer visited twice more over the years, each time bringing news and greetings from his people. Samuel Harrison's story spread quietly through the territory, becoming a legend that reminded people that even in the darkest times, compassion could triumph over fear, and that a single act of kindness could echo far beyond what one man could imagine. The drought eventually broke, the rains returned, and on a small ranch in Montana, one family lived with the knowledge that they had done something truly remarkable, not by choosing sides, but by choosing humanity. This incredible story reminds us that compassion knows no boundaries, and that small acts of kindness can create ripples that change everything. What would you have done in Samuel's situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story from history, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Whisper of the Past for more amazing true tales. Until next time, keep history alive.